How to manage profit and loss in business. This is absolutely vital to the success of your business. So profits are all the money that you're making. The loss is all the expenses it takes. And what's called the CapEx, or the capital to start it, is actually on the balance sheet. So we're going to talk about the actual P&L statement. How do you get one? What's the technology you use to start that? And again, this is more of a beginner entrepreneur talk. But if you have kids in your family, make sure they're listening. And it could be a good review for you if you're a more mature entrepreneur. Second thing we're going to talk about, what are the key numbers every business that needs to stay financially healthy should be tracking? And third, how you use your P&L to make better business decisions. So first of all, let's do some definitions. A profit and loss statement, by definition, is your P&L. It's a financial scorecard of your business. It shows all the money in, the revenue is in. The cost of delivering that revenue is called the cost of goods. Your other operating expenses for running the business is a result of your net profit and loss. So you can have gross, take out your COGS, cost of goods, and then you get your net. So in the Cash Machine for Life book, The Millionaire Maker, you want to grab this book. I'm going to give you up to 3 chapters for free, but I'm also going to give you my entire version 2 of the Millionaire Maker book. And inside of there, if you read up to chapter 3, I want you to do a gap analysis. Where are you in your business? Not a personal P&L. I want a business. Where are you and what do you want inside the business? What's your goal? And then what are offers? And you start building what I call a revenue model. So you're doing some financial forecasting. Say you're going to sell 4 different items. What's the price? How many do you have to sell? We build this and actually help you teach this inside what's called our Millionaire Intensive. Our Millionaire Intensive is once a month, the first Thursday of every month. From 10 to 12, I teach business and how do you actually understand how to be a millionaire, live corporate life. And then the afternoon is building funnels, revenue models, and literally by one thing. And I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to go to the Millionaire Intensive. And you'll know when I ask the question during the class, because I teach it live, is there's one thing you need to do, one skill you need to learn, and you will more than 8 to 10 times your revenue like that. So if for those of you that are out there say, I can learn how to make $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month is easy. That's $2,500 a week. Divide by 5, that's $500 a day. So what could you sell? What is a suite of products or services that you could provide that solves a problem to the market? QuickBooks is typically the most standard software. Xero's another one. If you want, I want you to get to revenue fast. So I don't care if you put it on a spreadsheet, but you want to open a separate bank account inside of a company. If you're more than 18 years old, we do not want you staying as a sole proprietor. You want to actually activate the tax code. Otherwise, if you're in a sole proprietor, you're only going to get like 8 to 33 different tax deductions, when there's 83,000 that you could tap into if you made your money inside the company. So you want to start tracking your P&Ls and your balance sheets. Where's all the revenue come? What's it cost to actually operate it? What's the cost of the goods or service? And then what are the other business expenses that are on that line item? So you want to start tracking immediately. Number 2, I want to talk about the key success financial indicators. So number 1 is, what is your margin? So I have had clients literally say, I'm $1 million company, but they spend $999,000. So they're only making, a very, very small amount of money. So your margin is how much you get to keep given all the other costs, taxes, and everything being paid. So what is your margin and how do you increase your margin by having more efficiencies? And given AI and all the technologies that are available, there's no way you cannot increase your margin by 10, 15, 20% on an annual basis. You need to understand cash flow. So cash flow is the revenue coming in, the bills that get paid. We actually have a cash flow document for our clients at the big table where week by week by week, you manage cash flow. And when you're running a lot of revenues, you manage daily. And then worst case, you manage weekly. But you've got to pay attention to where your money's coming in and what's it being spent on strategically. You need to know your accounts receivable, which is money coming in. If you do contracts, you may get a down payment and then over the course of the delivery, get the rest of it. So you'll have an accounts receivable section of your P&L of your books. You're also going to have a payable, which a lot of that can be put on auto pays and tracked that way. QuickBooks and a lot of the softwares will allow a complete download of all your credit cards, which is the easiest way to do tracking on a P&L is just use 1 and or 2, maybe 3 corporate credit cards allocated for very specific purposes. If you're using QuickBooks and you use their payroll system, another really good one that's super cost effective is Gusto. That's another payroll system that you can use. So you want to really be mindful of how you're making the money, how you're spending the money, your receivables, your payables, your cash flow. Now, before we continue, I want you to subscribe to this channel channel. I want you here 5 days a week. Click that notification button and share this with your team. Share this with if you have partners, share it with your actual family, because your family needs to know if this is a family business, how are you doing? My kids had known about P&Ls and balance sheets then they were like in their just becoming teenagers, and even more and more now. And my son's now a CPA, so understands it all clearly, knows how the entire business operates as well as other companies that we own. How do you use your P&L to make better decisions? So you make better decisions by looking at your margin. What can you do to modify, create more distinctions, maybe amplify price points on certain products? As you do that, you want to cut expenses, you want to consolidate expenses, and you want to look at your human capital. What are they costing you in payroll? What are they costing you in contracts? And what could you use with technology, AI? People are being laid off in that mid-manager level. Oracle just laid off over 30,000 people a couple weeks ago. So more and more people in the human capital side are going to be replaced, fortunately or unfortunately, with technology. So just know where you want to go and know the margins you want, know the cash flow you want, and always take a percent out and pay yourself first. And I use iFlip. Last gift I'm going to give you. It is a place where you keep the money in the company, but you can actually get a company iFlip account. Because here's what I know about most operators. If it's in your operating account, you'll spend it. If it's an investment account, you actually can accumulate it. And if you need it for capital improvements later, you have the money available in a different account. So I could teach this all day long. Go to that playlist. We'll put up a playlist of a bunch of business P&Ls, balance sheets. How do I pay myself? What do I pay myself? How do I quit my job in 90 days? We got years and years of content. We do 20 new videos every month. And whenever you have questions, go to askloral.com, ASKLORAL, ask questions, make a request. We'll be back tomorrow.